Hey everyone, welcome to the Geek Branch podcast. As you know, I'm your host, Tim, and this is my co host, as always, Dane. And we are with a special guest, a good friend, Myriad Gamer Mike, or as we like to call it for short, Myriad Mike. So we've been wanting him to come on for a while, so no better time than now.
Hey, thanks so much for having me here, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. He has his own channel. He likes going over a lot of more retro gaming. He also has a funny series where he plays games with his friends while they're getting drunk, essentially.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that one's definitely worth a watch. But he also, as I guess you could say, a hobby, he builds his own arcade machine. So we figured, hey, let's talk about that because it's starting to become a growing hobby where you just build your own. In fact, I've seen some being sold on Etsy where people make like custom side panels for people and stuff. It's a business growing. It's crazy.
Yeah, I wish I could make money off of what I'm currently working on, but for the most part, I'm really enjoying the actual project and diving into it. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so with his arcade machine, it essentially is set up as you would think it would. It's more for like table, you put it on a table, and he has all kinds of like game emulation systems set up on that thing.
Yeah, I've done all the software and everything for it. I built it off of a base software called a track mode. And from there, I've kind of put everything together. We've done a lot of play testing and stuff other than just myself,
Yeah.
because we take it to conventions around here. There's three in particular, which is Mid South Con, Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, and Shadow Con.
Uh, on top of that, aside from the cons, how many hours would you say you've put into
Oh,
just like,
for the first couple of months when I was actually trying to learn how to get everything done, besides almost catching my house on fire, I've probably actually spent, I would spend like 4 or 5 hours every night for, I would say, the first 3, 4 months trying to get everything done. And I just really dived into it. So after about 6 months of really heavily programming, I finally decided to take a break and slowly work on it after that.
yeah, and y'all should check it out sometime. It's pretty neat how he's got it organized. It's like it's not just like you go and you look at it like it's a computer. It's pretty. The user interface is pretty friendly.
Yeah, Attract Mode does an amazing job for actually setting that up. Like it allows you a certain amount of flexibility and customization to allow for a pretty user friendly interface. That's for
Yeah,
certain.
yeah. And then he's got one particular fighting game that I think
Oh
is
yeah,
probably played the most.
yeah. So I'm notoriously known for basically making these really stable versions of Mugen with large amount of characters that actually just doesn't crash like freaking crazy because we
If you don't know what Mugen is essentially like this version of Smash Brothers Melee
yeah.
on crack.
Well, okay, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Let's roll back here. First off, let me welcome you, Mike,
Thank you.
because
Thank you.
obviously you are our senior here. You're basically our senpai when it comes to actually having a podcast. So we're very happy to have you on. Um, I think that in order for our audience to properly understand, because our audience is probably a little bit on the younger side of things as opposed to where his target audience is,
Yeah,
being a retro gamer,
yeah.
you're probably going to have to actually explain to people what an arcade machine is.
That's
That's
fair.
that's that's actually sad but
because
true.
because I think like the closest modern times we've had to interact with those is like watching episodes of Stranger Things or the It movie.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're not
well,
you're not wrong.
they see them now at Walmart, the
Oh,
one-up arcade things. I guess that's the closest thing they've probably seen of them.
Right. So
I got
just
I got to play with those at Evo, by the way, before they came out, so that was
Really?
kind of interesting.
Huh.
that does sound cool.
I'm actually interested in the Ninja Turtles one, just for nostalgia of going
Yeah.
to Chuck E. Cheese when you're a kid and
Side scroll fighter Ninja Turtles.
yes.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
man, yeah, it was
Yeah.
based off of what is that? Two Dragons, or what's the original side scrolling fighter where you have to rescue your girlfriend?
Double Dragon.
It was Double
There
There
Dragon.
you
you
go.
go.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I
And
got
that
you, man. Don't worry
that
about it.
that movie was hilarious, but there's a movie of it and it's hilarious. You should
Right.
it's a gem.
But you still need to just explain to people what an arcade machine is, because most people, like I said,
Well,
don't
so
have a good recollection of it.
back in the 80s and stuff like that, the basic place to go hang out were old arcades where you could go in, drop in a couple of quarters, and play a video game with a system that sat right in front of you, completely built into a cabinet. Now, nowadays, we've got like you said, you've got the ones from Walmart and things you can kind of get a look and see what those are. But those old fashioned ones, they're built with a specific set for them. They only usually have one game
Yep.
associated to them.
Old CRT
Oh
TVs.
yeah, that's
Yeah, think Wreck-It Ralph if you've seen those
Yeah,
there
movies.
we
there you
go.
go.
Yeah,
Wreck-It Ralph is a perfect
perfect.
example. And then if you've been to Dave and Buster's, I mean, they have like maybe one or two of the traditional arcade machines. They're out there, but Dane's right. It is not. It's unfortunately not as known to the newer generation. Uh, so it's more for nostalgia for a lot of people, bringing that back, which is why I mentioned about Etsy, because Etsy just seems like the center of nostalgia if you want somebody else to build it for you.
Hmm.
Uh,
There's a lot of legal gray area when it comes to custom arcade cabinets and things like that, which a lot of people do offer custom arcade cabinets complete with game
oh yeah,
setups and stuff like that. But some of them you might just find to be empty of software, but built for you to add on to
add on
yourself.
to, yeah, and it's pretty easy to set up from that point on. Yeah,
Well,
you would
easy.
think. You would think. You find out differently very quickly.
I have a few new gray hairs now. If you haven't seen me on the channel in a while from working on the arcade machine this past year, yeah, easy. Let's say that.
Hey, but to actually be able to run a stable version of God, we just got done saying the name. Oh,
Mugen.
Mugen. Yes, a stable version of Mugen is amazing because once you get past like 100 characters, that game just fries itself.
Yeah,
Oh, so mine is well, my first iteration that people actually know the website for the myriadgamers.com is we have one on there for one of my favorite and very stable version of an Xbox original Xbox Mugen that I worked on for a good couple years and has about 600 some odd characters onto it.
Hmm.
hmm
You've got a good play time of usually about 4 hours before you'll even get a crash. So
and
it's pretty stable.
that's great. And the reason why, like, if you don't understand why we're talking about stability, essentially you're making your own fighting game and you're putting in all these random characters that are built by other users,
Yeah.
and you're making sure that it works along with your engine. And sometimes some of these characters that they're creating doesn't line up well with your engine if
Let,
you
let,
put that in there.
let me reiterate balance. I mean, stability does not equal balance.
Yes, because we there's definitely characters that I remember playing at a party on his machine maybe about a year ago, and there was a few characters on there that definitely were not balanced, but they were still hilarious to see.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
no. Most gamers may have heard of Mugen. If you haven't heard of Mugen at the very least, then you would have occasionally seen YouTube videos where people do fights that can't actually happen through
Yeah,
Mugen.
like McDonald's, Ronald McDonald for some random reason, and
Versus Krillin.
versus
Yes,
Krillin or
right,
something
right.
like that. Yeah.
All right,
So
Goku, I'm totally ready for this.
yeah, so most Mugen fighters tend to have a core cast that is all the classic fighters that are 2Ds, Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, and then they eventually started adding in anime characters. So you got your Naruto's, your DBZs, your Bleach.
And
Um,
DBZ is usually the characters that are like unbalanced
well, not only that, but
when especially Goku Blue.
occasionally they add in because it's a mix of both their own individually created pixel art as well as their own individual scripts, hitboxes, and techniques, move sets. You come across certain characters that are just guaranteed to be wonky and hard to deal with. I know back when I was thinking of playing Mugen 3 or Mugen 4, somebody added in Pikachu and Yoda, and they're so small that most characters can't hitbox them. You like your attacks can miss them because of how tiny their character is as a pixel on the screen.
Right. I get you now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we went through anyway. The reason we're talking about the Mugen in particular with the arcade cabinet is because I have a version on there that gets played the most. It's the running
Yes.
joke at these conventions is going, Mike, you have 7,000 plus games built in this cabinet now. Guess what's going to get played the whole darn time? So,
It's so fun though.
yeah, it really is. But it was also the first piece of software I worked on because I decided I wanted to work on a new Mugen when I got back from Evo back in 2018.
Mm.
And that led to going, hey, well, I'm doing this on PC. Let's see what building fight sticks for it,
Right.
which led to, hey, I've got these two boxes that are fight sticks. I could literally just make an arcade cabinet, and it
And then
kind of
you
built from there.
Yeah, and then
Mhm.
you realized he was going in much deeper than he realized.
Oh yeah. I wasn't kidding either. I did actually have a computer build for the arcade setup. I left it for Windows Update overnight, and I woke up at 1:30 in the morning to loud beeping and a fire
I was about to say,
this
didn't it
high
catch
up.
on fire?
Oh yeah, this high up above it in
I remember
in
seeing
my
that.
old sound room, which was covered in green felt. So it was just literally a flaming fire hazard. I don't even know how I got the fire out. I just was sitting there in front of this thing that's smoldering. My roommate comes in and goes, "What happened?" I go, "Fire."
Well, the hazards of DIY programming
Oh
and engineering.
Yes.
no, that was a power surge through a faulty power supply, and it took on the weakest point, which was the upper USB headers on that case, which
Right.
was made of plastic. So it just caught fire.
Mhm.
The thing that actually reminded me of that was you recently are starting to get back into the Minecraft server stuff.
Yes, I yeah. Oh gosh.
And you have a server set up essentially in a closet.
I
And I,
do, and we had to inform people that it's actually perfectly safe in
yeah,
the way
because
it's set
I
up.
was like, didn't a computer catch on fire there?
We always worry about him because his house is literally home to
It
gaming
should be a
memorabilia.
museum.
Yeah, it's gamer memorabilia as well as movies and other classic collections. The man is like a godsend for keeping nostalgia. We're talking about all the best things from the 80s and 90s live in this man's house. So
Yes.
And
So
having a background with computer science and engineering means I'm going to be able to make sure it works for a very long time.
makes
yeah.
perfect sense.
I mean, no, you do stand out as an excellent example of us taking what we love, which is gaming, and turning it into not just something that is a hobby, but also a form of self betterment. Because to me, you're an amateur engineer, an amateur programmer, and just one of the funnest game creators I could ever imagine. I've never actually got the chance to play your Mugen, but I now totally want to jump onto that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Next time you're around, we'll get that done.
It's fun. Trust me. Yeah.
And you know, we have done some balancing because we've had to do it because we tried to run tournaments at the conventions I was talking about.
Yeah.
Mhm.
By the way, if you are in the local area and you do end up wanting to see it, we run the I help out with the video game rooms at those three conventions I mentioned earlier: ShadowCon, Mid South
Mhm.
Con, and Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. And I'm always there. You will always find me in there pretty much. I don't really leave much, but that's okay.
You probably want to make sure that the arcade's running fine. So I get that.
Yeah, well, we've had some people find glitches for me, and it helps me with fixing the software.
Oh,
So,
that's cool. You should
yeah.
have like a little like comment like thing on to the side to where like if somebody notices a glitch and you happen to be busy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, most of the time it's so detrimental, like the whole thing just craps
Crashes.
out, and I'm like, "How did you get here? You're not supposed to be able to
That's
get
not how
here."
it works. How'd you end up in another map?
There was some type of like for a perfect example is I do custom backgrounds for each of the game menu systems. So you actually know what you're looking at. And in
Yeah.
the Super Nintendo menu, there's some type of corruption in one of the files there. So if somebody just scrolls through the menu, the whole thing crashes. But once I changed it back to like a different background setting for it, it runs fine. I was like, okay, well, I'll figure that
Yeah,
out
it's just
later.
one of those things. Sometimes the smallest thing that you would
Well,
never expect to mess up a program will
uh,
screw the whole thing up.
only
That,
thing it takes is one being a zero when it should have been a one, or somebody adding in a two, or a missing in the code that's just an apostrophe, or an extra space, or an extra bracket, and then all your coding is completely screwed up.
or being the idiot like me who carries this thing around and
Oh
it
yeah.
has a 4 terabyte
Yes.
spinning disk drive, so it's likely to end up getting bumped one too many times.
Uh huh.
And I'm not gonna buy a 4 terabyte
Oh, that
freaking
would be
solid state
oh no,
drive.
that would be so expensive. Like,
I already have a 1 terabyte drive that runs the operating system and the actual arcade software. But
right.
And the other one's just memory, which is I think everyone's current gaming setup anyway. A
Yeah.
solid state for writing and data retrieval, and then a terabyte hard drive or 2 terabyte hard drive for storage.
oh,
Yeah.
something else I wanted to point out is building these machines, looking at all the wiring and everything I've done, it may look complicated, it may look difficult. Anybody could do this stuff. And the greatest thing is of, me being an old man, getting to grow up with the internet the way that it is, we have so much DIY information out there
Oh my
now
gosh, yeah.
that it'll really let you build any of this stuff from the ground up. And if you don't know how to do something, just look it up. You'll find it.
Yeah.
Trust me. Somebody on YouTube is taught it has a tutorial to teach you how to do it.
Mhm. Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to figure out half the stuff I've been able to do for this channel alone. if it wasn't for like looking up random people on YouTube and stuff like that, like learn how to use Premiere Pro and stuff like that. I had no idea how to work that thing.
Every time we've had a problem with that thing, the first thing it does is go into YouTube and literally type in the problem as a sentence, and then a video pops up.
Oh yeah, somebody's gonna be like, "Yeah, I had the same problem, guys. This is how I fixed it."
I mean, we live in the age of miracles,
Oh,
where the sum total of human knowledge, at least as much has been transferred into data, is accessible through the palm of your hand. So it's a good time to be alive.
it's their own personal library of Alexandria over there.
Yeah, I mean, dude, there's so much data I've had. Like, I have a personal library on my phone.
Oh, he really does. It's
That
ridiculous.
that's okay. So my home physical library, before I had the ability to like buy a ton of ebooks, maybe had like 300 books in it. You know, it's one shelf, 300 books. My library on this new phone that I have has 6,731 books on it.
Yeah, he pays a guy to translate books overseas for him.
Oh wow,
Yeah, he's that guy.
it's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm one of those people that have never really been incredibly fond of digital media for the most part. As
Yeah,
my
I'm more-
my house actually states that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But as time has gone on, I've kind of understand like one thing that I find useful for having, digital media that I can emulate is the fact that I'm not wearing out the hardware
Yeah.
Right.
that I have there that, every use is gonna, I mean, I still got my original NES from when I was a kid and I haven't even replaced any parts on it yet. It still works like a charm.
Right.
And it's play tested all 700 plus NES games I have. So
Well, it also helps that it was made by Nintendo, who like makes sure that their stuff lasts forever.
Oh,
thank
yeah.
God, quality support, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, back then, everything was made out of Nokedium.
It's such a rare and precious resource.
we ran out of it. That's why everything's so easy to break. Like the phones just miraculously break every year, so you can get the new one next year.
I mean, just going back to nostalgia times, man, that old Nokia phone, you could throw that thing out of a moving vehicle.
Well, the game, it was like the Game Boy or the Game Boy Color. There's one at the Nintendo store in New
It's
York.
the original Game Boy. I know
Yeah.
what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
they
right
were.
now.
Yeah, there was a guy that was in the army, and he happened to be, I guess, where some bombs were going off,
Well, I think
and
it
it
was an
survived.
ID in particular. but
Yeah,
yeah.
and it survived.
Yep. It still plays Tetris to this day.
Yes.
Like a champ.
Yep.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I think that like throughout the age of consoles, we didn't really get to a point where they were easy to like brick until we got past the GameCube, because the GameCube was pretty durable too.
Oh yeah. I remember.
It's a literal cube.
It
It's a
really
freaking
is.
brick.
I don't know, but
You
like,
could probably, if you actually hit someone with it, you probably
Wait.
could like knock them out for a minute there.
but it was right when we left like the GameCube era that we started just getting like the faultiest tech, dude.
Oh yeah, PS3. That thing messed up so easily.
And talking about it, my machine, as far as how far I've gotten up into emulation, I'm right now at the GameCube era as far as that goes, as far as what I'm able to emulate.
It gets
on that
rough
system.
after that, I hear.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
GameCube is beautiful though. I've
Yes.
got that thing upscaled to about 1.5 times its normal rate.
Uh-huh.
I probably have more hardware in the system than I probably should have for being an emulation station.
Right.
Mhm.
Hey, there's nothing
I
wrong with
mean,
that.
I
Hey.
respect it. I'm a personally myself. I'm a big fan of the Persona series from Japan. Shinen Tenshin, Summoner, Demon Summoner, and Devil Summoner.
Yeah, it has a really long title.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's gonna take a long time to get that correct. But point being is that they were all PS2 games, basically,
Yeah.
right? And so I don't have a PS2 anymore, and none of the PS3s or PS4s that I could buy easily were backwards compatible. So I just installed an emulator on my laptop, and I emulate Persona 2, Persona 3, Persona 4, and that's the only way I get to play them anymore. And
Hey-
so I'm 100% down for emulation, and I can't imagine how awesome it is to be able to go from like everything from the Commodore all the way up to the GameCube.
This is exactly why Sony is making sure that their new console is going to be backwards compatible with all their games, because of people like you, because they're like, we're missing out on money.
Yeah,
Like-
people
Oh, yeah.
like me who that would like see because what happens is right through the trials of coming up as a child, you can't keep track unless you're my friend here, Mike, who did actually manage to. But we tend to lose things, right? Games, consoles, things get broken or damaged, the power goes out and it shorts, or somebody spills an entire thing of Sprite on it. That's what happened to
Yep.
my PS2.
Oh,
Oh, man.
So I'm like, all right.
Or if your brother decides to get angry at the game and gets a hockey stick and
and smashes it.
yeah,
Yeah. So like something always
No,
that's my
happens.
brother.
why
Yeah,
would he ever do? No, dude.
DDR.
Have you never wait. Have you never seen him go full tilt? I'm just
I'm
saying.
No,
saying.
no. I've been in the house.
I was gonna say Mike has been around my brother enough to seen him go full tilt.
I was in the other room with Myers, hanging out in the kitchen, playing some stuff on the laptop, and I just hear from the back, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Are him and his wife okay?
No,
Worried?"
that's him playing a video game,
No,
man.
like they were playing together, and it's like both of them. It's like, holy crap! It's a
Yeah.
match made in heaven.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. But so yeah, so for me, right, if these things were still in the market or somewhere in the aftermarket, I would just buy it again because that's what nostalgia is. It's just you want to capture that feeling of wonder that you had back when we were kids. I can't do that anymore, so I have to go and maybe illegally find a ROM of something and,
Yeah, I mean,
and emulate it on my computer.
And see, that's why you have like the what was it, the NES Classic, the SNES Classic, and all that came out recently
Mhm.
was so popular because it's people getting to relive that nostalgia.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's why, being able to understand that mass simulation, if you've got a piece of software that lets you just easily go in and choose those items from a menu, like an arcade machine, that helps to state that nostalgia. Which, by the way, PS2 is next on my list.
Yeah,
I might have
dude.
to talk to you a little bit about
Getting those.
what you use for emulation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because I heard there's some issues with emulation with PS2 at times.
Oh, even
Yeah.
the software that I use, I have to go into the code for and patch per game.
That's why I'm
Oof,
interested
yeah.
to see
There-
what
there's no way to,
Sony
get it.
figured out for their new console.
Well, see,
the
what-
emulation for
what
that in PS3.
I made a mistake. So you're going to make a lot of mistakes when you're building stuff like this. And for me particularly, I thought, hey, I'll put 4 GameCube controller slots on the front of this machine, which was easy to do. And so I have the 2 joysticks,
Mhm.
all the arcade buttons that light up. That's great. But there's some games that require more buttons than I have on that system.
Right.
Mhm.
And, actual other D-pads and stuff like that. So the GameCube controllers do that, but they don't really work as dual analog controllers.
Yes, because there's the middle stick and the top stick,
Yeah.
rather than the shock sticks.
And that little yellow stick is not
No,
it's
yeah.
not true. And then you can't press those in.
Yeah, because it's hexagonal.
It only works for like the Smash Brother games.
So I bought 4 more controller ports that are all PS2 or PS1 actually controller ports to USB. And I'm going to use those to play PS2 games and stuff because
Right.
it should work.
requirements for dual shocks.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, look, me and you, we need to get together because I've managed to get most of these Japanese port games that I like to work, but some of the stuff that was exclusive to P2 and Xbox, I cannot make happen. Like I've been trying to emulate Fable. If I don't know if you
Oh,
guys remember
yeah.
Fable from back
you
in the
can play
day.
I love it.
You can play. Yeah, there's a PC version.
Yeah. Have you ever seen what happens with PC ports? They're all bad. All of them. I've never seen a port to PC go correctly.
No, you're right.
It's impossible. Like even if you
So many games are a perfect example. Batman Arkham Knight's a perfect example.
yeah, some things are made for consoles.
Yeah.
And then when they decide to port, they just hard port. They literally like, here's the data, here's the code, pass it
There
on
was
to
a game
PC.
recently that he had bought. It's a Digimon game, and it was built just for console originally. And they did nothing to try to like change it over to have proper PC inputs.
And you have to understand that I'm an old fashioned guy. So when I sit down on my PC, I play like a PC player. I don't stick a controller into my game. I beat Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 with a mouse and keyboard. Right.
No thanks.
So that's me, right? So I go to play this game that's been ported over, and it is impossible. You cannot move your character. You can't sprint. You can't access the menu. You can't rebind anything. you can't rebind.
Look, man, just break down and buy yourself a wired, Xbox
So
360.
He borrowed my Steam Link controller.
Oh wow!
I
How did that work?
it didn't help. So I refunded it and got it on Switch. So
There you go.
some
Yeah.
things cannot be ported.
Yeah, because Dane surprisingly actually has a Switch.
Yeah, they baited me into it.
That's okay.
I had friends. That's literally the
Would
reason
you
why.
say it's a bait and switch?
No, really, it actually kind of was because I'm like, I spent like $300+ on this console to play it with 2 people, and we never play.
Y'all even got the same freaking Yu-Gi-Oh game recently.
hmm
and y'all
But
don't even play that together.
we're busy, I guess.
Yeah.
This is what modern friendship is. You may catch them every odd day.
Yeah, like for real, my best friend is very rare for me to actually find time to sit down and play a game with him now. It's so
Oh yeah.
hard. That's
Right.
part of getting older. It's just
And
hard to sit down
and
and find time to play
these
a
Oh,
game with a
are
friend.
trust me. I look at my collection all the time. It's like I can afford all these games, but I
But
have no time to
I
play them
know
because I bought all these games.
that's me looking at the Steam library.
Oh, don't even get me started on Steam libraries. I have like over 1,000 games in mine, and some of them only have like 30 minutes of play.
I
Well,
was
you've seen some of
so
mine.
for the most part, I've been what you would call a lord of the console gaming. You know, you could
Yeah.
say PC. I mean, console peasants. No, no, no. I'm more of a lord.
At
And
this point, yeah.
about two or 3 years ago, I finally built a custom PC that I actually could afford, and I was like, okay, I'll get something with a little bit of oomph. And I
Yeah.
had 20 Steam games. To this day, I think right now I have 700 something, and this was like 2 years of
It's
progress.
it's just that's Steam for you. They have the sales, and then you see, oh, that's cheap, and then you just keep racking up.
Humble
And
Bundle.
Yeah,
yes, Humble Bundle.
that too.
That's like 20 every time you buy.
Yes, Mike is very generous. If he has a game that he already has or doesn't want, I'm guessing he'll go on his Facebook and he'll say, "Hey, does anybody want this
Oh
game?"
yeah, every Christmas especially, I
Yeah.
give away a ton of games. So I thought about doing it on the Myriad Gamers main page. The problem with that is I'll get I try to give it to
Mike's
friends
gonna be
first.
getting like all these
Inundated
friends
by a
requests
bunch of
all of a
stuff.
sudden.
Yeah, yeah. Inundated by requests is what that is.
Yeah.
And see, the thing that kills me, right, is that these are our actual real life friends. Like we sit across from these people at dinner tables and eat with them, and there's nothing more that we want to do at game. And I swear I can get like 6 hours of gaming with people all across the world on TeamSpeak, on the internet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But my actual friends, I just never get to see them.
Yep.
It's so
Well, because the time that you do have to where you get to spend time with them, it's you wanting to go see them in person, not with a
Yeah.
video game. Not once you hit a certain age.
But do you remember the glory days
Oh,
of
yeah.
like sitting back on your couch and like split screening Call of Duty and
Playing like 8-10 hours when you did.
Honestly, I'm really surprised. I haven't done it in so long. We used to do these game nights over at my house where I would basically go through and I would hook up old consoles to kind of get them warmed up and to make sure things are still working properly. And we would hold little tournaments
Yeah.
where, that would turn into drunken debauchery of gameplay, but it was a bit crazy, but it's a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
and I think about it now, I don't think I've done that in like 4 years.
no, and we need to get back
Time
to it, man,
flies.
because
Time
yeah.
flies.
it's some of the most wholesome moments of our lives, though. That's what gaming is. Gaming is community, family, friends playing together. And it's so sad that we just don't have that. And every time I see something like your arcade machine, or I sit back and like I see the giant Pac-Man collection, with all the old games like Dig Dug and all that stuff, and I'm like, anybody want to go and chase some ghosts and eat some fruit? Like, anybody want to go back to the day where we sat around and just played simple
Didn't have
games
any
together?
worries and
Yeah, right?
enjoy your
Oh
friends.
yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
we get nostalgia baited anyway. That is
Yeah.
literally what's happening to us all the
So,
time.
Disney, don't watch this.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we have we do have our local arcade around here though. So
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do.
well, I actually attend, though strangely enough, not to actually play the arcade games. I got invited occasionally to poker, which is also on the day of this podcast. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
which as sporadic as that is, if I do get like that extra hour between leaving the podcast and going to work, I'll go over there and play poker with everybody,
Yeah,
just to have.
they rent the place out for the day to play poker at the arcade. So
Yeah, if you live in the most people know where we're located.
Olive Branch.
In the Olive Branch area, there is
oh no,
a
I've been doxxed.
so
It's literally Geek Branch. I'm
you know how
saying.
many people that don't get that connection?
Oh yeah. Oh really? That's what it's. No,
I almost made it like super obvious with the new logo. I was gonna put like a bird over it,
put the
Olive Branch,
yeah,
the
City
dove.
symbol.
Yeah. But then I was like, nah, that's too much. But anyways, so there is a local arcade that we have, Back Alley Arcade. So just go to the Old Town area. Great place, great owner, bunch of great guys usually over there hanging out. Give it a try. They got like 10 arcade machines over there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And if you like the logo, you're welcome because I drew that and created it for him. So
Yeah. The Back Alley Arcade logo is pretty cool.
It's a really cool spot. It also has a little inbuilt bar area with
Oh,
plenty of snackage, man.
I
It's really nice.
I gotta be honest. I'm usually at the bar. If you've seen my channel, you understand that we like to partake in the occasional drink.
It serves for better entertainment for the viewers. That's to say the least.
Yeah, it also serves for a lot of wasted footage, to be honest.
Yeah, you probably have to cut out a lot of that.
We have times where we'll do. We were actually actively working on stuff. We would do like 15-hour record sessions, and the last like 3 hours were freaking useless. It was just incoherent and just. I mean, nobody could talk in the mic right.
Hey, you never
That
know
was the
what.
last thing on their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll never know what people are like, dude. Sometimes people just like that slice of life look.
Oh yeah.
Like one of our most popular videos is actually just a blooper reel for one of our longer recordings. So,
Oh wow.
yeah,
Yeah, because we had a blooper reel of are you talking about the Star Wars one?
yeah. Where
Dane fell.
Oh,
I literally
wow.
fell out my chair. I was laughing so hard. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it was probably one of our most popular videos
Wow.
because like we were joking about something. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Well, the problem was that we were so angry with the Star Wars movie.
Somebody said something that was funny and it just kind of broke the tension.
Right.
Oh,
And we
that's
just all
great.
started
Yeah.
laughing. Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
so he was laughing so hard he ended up sliding off and falling off the couch.
You say talking about cut content after Adpocalypse when we lost a lot of stuff with our channel.
Yeah.
We were just like, all right, forget it. We don't care anymore. So we would let the jokes fly that were very inappropriate. And I, you know,
Well, I mean, because the ads are already as
yeah,
strict as it
they're
is.
already gone. I'm already going to be flagged for whatever reason or another, and it's already so
Yep.
hard to deal with that algorithm nowadays.
I've gotten some flags already.
Oh,
and-
I had
Yeah.
my
Flags,
favorites were-
copyright strikes.
Oh, the
Yeah.
copyright strikes just crack me up.
Oh yeah, I got one.
I was
it
playing Metal Gear Solid, and we
Yeah.
got copyright strikes by
The background music gets picked up by the bot.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. And then I'm like, all right.
And it's usually like the Asian companies
Which
that are
was
the ones
the
that
very
attack
first
you the
the
most.
very first episode of the first season of Drunken Gamers was us playing Metal Gear Solid 2 or whatever because they were like they didn't believe how bad I was at Metal Gear Solid games. And you have to understand is the way the Drunken Gamer seasons work is we pregame just a tiny bit and we start recording. And in a season is a whole night of us playing.
Mm-hmm.
usually
And getting progressively
in 20
worse.
minute increments. And so by the time you get to the end of the first season, it's us just plastered. And there are episodes that have not seen the light of day because the subject matter got so bad. We were like, sorry, we can't do that.
Yeah, well,
We can't talk about that on YouTube.
We got copyright striked for like watching. We were watching a video, and going over it. It was a Lupin the Third CG trailer.
Oh, wow.
And
A
like
trailer.
immediately,
We
as
got
soon
copyright striked
yeah.
for a trailer.
Yeah.
Like we're
Like, I
helping
wasn't
you.
yeah, like I didn't even publish it yet. You know how you can schedule when it's published and
Sure,
all that.
of course.
And before I even published it, when I had it set and scheduled, they told me I couldn't have this video.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so
It's crazy.
like we all acknowledge now that the term fair use means nothing to YouTube.
Oh well, the big thing is YouTube is too afraid to stand up to all these huge companies that give them the money from the ads.
And, the problem is we also don't have other outlets to.
It's a monopoly.
Yeah, exactly.
And not a very courageous monopoly at that.
No. If you're not rated PG and set to the complete standards that they want you to be, then
Especially with the
you
new
don't matter.
stuff that hit this beginning of this year. So,
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
kids stuff.
yes.
Yeah, so that
And,
makes it even harder.
Yeah, I won't be playing Minecraft on my channel anymore.
Yeah, I can't say I blame you. Anything for those that don't know, finally, even though the COPPA laws were actually already a thing,
Oh,
they're
Last
they've been around,
year.
they've been around forever.
forever, they're
Yeah.
finally being enforced onto YouTube. And so along with that, even if you're not directed towards kids, they're still going to basically take
Register certain content as kid
Yeah.
friendly.
kid friendly.
And then so because your content looks kid friendly, you are considered kid friendly. And then they look at your content and it's obviously not kid friendly, and then you're out of the game.
Yeah, so since we talk about video games and comic books and stuff like that, I'm sure that we're being affected by it. I can't tell right now because we're so new. We're only 3-4 months old. It's hard
Right.
for us to tell that sort of
Right.
stuff.
But for the most part, this is, not a bad environment either. So,
Right?
right.
No, yeah, we're not. But still, you
Yeah, I
gotta.
get what you're saying.
Yeah,
And a lot of that has to do with advertisers too, of what they can advertise. What they're not allowed to advertise to children
yeah.
and things like that. So it's a complicated law. I haven't actually dug too much
I
into.
haven't dug too much into it either. I've just seen bits and
I
pieces
have a,
on
I
Facebook
have a,
and YouTube.
yeah. There's actually, there's other channels and stuff out there that really go into depth about the legal
Yeah, and
aspects
that's
behind it.
their thing
Yeah.
is going into that stuff.
Well, it's just like they took everything the FCC managed to do from like the 80s to like mid 90s, redubbed it for the internet, and then like cranked it up to 10. It's
Well, the CEO of YouTube, we'll see if anything's done, but she said now that it's being forced on YouTube, they're trying to make changes to it. They're trying to talk to the government, but you know how that is. So,
Right.
you don't need a fire extinguisher until your house is on fire. So
yeah, exactly. But that is definitely off topic. Sorry about that, guys.
It happens.
Well,
It does.
we're talking about multiple things here, mostly just about having a fellow content creator on. So I think it falls within the purview.
Yeah, because this is really our first topic. While it is primarily about the arcade machine, it is also having someone else from YouTube onto the show and kind of delving into his longer experience than us, the stuff he's had to deal with.
Yeah, well, for me, I've been around for quite a few years, and then I hit it really hard back.
What was it like 2 years ago?
Yeah, from 2013 to 15, I think, or 16.
Okay, yeah,
We had just kind of started up with our Fallout 3 stuff and stuff like that. I did with
Oh
Darren.
man,
Yeah.
Fallout 3.
And from there, we decided to branch out. We had a lot of different show ideas, and we kind of experimented. I got a lot better at editing as time went on because
So
I
has
was
Tim.
I was
Yeah.
very much it's a do as you go and
Yeah.
learn. You learn as you play with everything. You do not have to be perfect right outside the box.
no,
You got to understand that you're early. You should never be embarrassed about your early content, even if it's awful.
yeah. Well, look at his first video. Look at my first
yeah.
video. It's
I'm still pretty proud of it.
considering.
Well,
what-
look, not all of us are as perfect as you, sir.
Yeah.
I don't have confidence issues. I'm a gamer. We are literally people that strive for perfection by doing the same task over and over again.
He's
How
like-
can we be anything but confident?
He's like, look, clearly my keyboard was broken. It was the controller's fault.
Man, I tell you, it's just it's always something to have pride in, dude. I mean, come on, what other community can do what we do? You know what I'm saying? How many times have we sat down, played a stage, crapped down on it like Castlevania, and then had to
Mhm.
restart from the very beginning and go all the way back through it again just to get that win? We are some of the most persistent and dedicated people on this planet.
Kids, what's the definition of insanity? Do the same task over and over again, expecting different results, not getting them.
And that is a lot of video games, especially classic video games where you didn't have save files.
Or
I have-
tutorials. Remember
Yeah.
Mega Man, the first Mega Man? Dude, I died so many times playing Mega Man.
Mega Man was
That's
one.
just jump
that
and
first-
shoot, man. Jump
Yep.
and shoot, man.
That's all
But
it is.
they didn't tell you anything. Like,
Oh, yeah.
what was it, Mega Man 2, the first time they introduced the wall slide? I'm just like, no one told me how to do this. There's no instruction manual. I had to literally jump on that wall multiple times, so I figured out that you held down X to slide on the wall.
It wasn't until like probably like Mega Man 7 or 8 when you finally started getting like manuals that would explain things.
Yeah.
See, I respectfully disagree with you. We had manuals. They were just lost very easily. So by the time you
That's
got
true.
a copy of one or two, it
Well,
was
it's 'cause-
probably from Blockbuster secondhand or something and
That's
had no
very
manual.
true. Because it wasn't like when PlayStation 1 came out where like you kept the manual because it was basically the
CD sieve case, yeah.
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 Which we didn't have. We had, I still have a lot of box games. So you just have the boxes. Well, the problem is as a child,
you don't
My
think about
parent-
that stuff.
my
Yeah.
parents drive me crazy. My parents took away some of my gaming manuals for the games because they're like, reading the manuals cheating. I'm like, okay, Dad.
Well,
Now wait till you get something from IKEA or some other place to build. I'm going to steal your manual and go, that's cheating.
you need to make sure you use all 153 screws. If you miss one, you did it wrong.
Yep, you did it wrong. Why'd I have so many leftover screws?
I'm sure it's stable, son. Enjoy your swing set. Uh-oh. I may have made a mistake.
Oh man, But so yeah, no. My favorite thing was back in the day when you got the entire. Anytime you bought an old fashioned fighting game, they gave you the move list in
Mhm,
the manual at the back of
mhm.
the manual. So I'm just
Street
like,
Fighter days.
yeah, that's what we do. How do we do this? I saw it in the trailer. How do I do it? Oh man, good
Yeah,
times.
that was different times. That was like back when you had the game Genie and, or like you would find out something from a like old magazine article about a game like
Game Informer used to
yeah,
actually have relevant information.
Oh,
yeah.
I could tell you one that's really important as far as keeping up with manuals. Was a game called Star Tropics.
Oh yeah, yes, yes.
So
That's
the
a
original
Nintendo
Star
one.
Tropics
Yeah.
had a little piece of paper with it that was a letter from your grandfather. And about 3/4 through the game, the little robot tells you that you need to put a 4-digit code in to get to a specific course. Well, there's no other hint in the game.
Where it is, it's in the
You,
manual.
no.
And you didn't
take
have
that.
internet
You
back
got to take
then.
that piece of paper and wet it,
Oh my
Really?
and it would
gosh.
show up the thing. It was a form of DRM in some sense.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I won't explain what I did to get a hold of that piece of paper, but somebody had sold me that game and didn't give me that piece of paper. Let's just say this: I got that piece of paper. I beat that game.
That's amazing.
There was a lot of interesting things that they did back in those days. Even further down, like during the Game Boy Color days, or yeah, it was Game Boy Color. There was a game where you had to actually go out into the sun.
Oh yeah, the church. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
what you're talking
the
about.
guy, famous Kojima, he actually made a mobile game for the game. I think it was Game Boy Advance, and like the whole purpose of it was like an action RPG. And if you did not go out into the sun, you literally could not play the game. Like
Yep.
you had to go out there just for a
It
little
had a
bit to
light
charge it
switcher
up.
type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, dude, some of the best things ever are like those old fashioned things. So like I guess the movie didn't really like kind of stick with people of today, but for us it was perfect. You remember Ready Player One?
Yeah.
Right, and like how important Easter eggs and those little bitty tidbits of like information and extra content that was related to gaming actually influenced how we played the game and how much we enjoyed it. I know it just didn't sync with the modern kids too much, like people that came up after us, but Ready Player One was just on point for me and you. If we sat down and watched it,
Right.
it brought back all the right feelings.
You were talking about adventure near the end of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I remember playing that a lot as a kid too. That was I have a square chasing around other squares. Imagination is absolutely necessary. And they said video games would rot my brain. I think I'm thinking a little bit harder because,
I mean,
Actually, there was a game that helped me in school once. Mega Man Legends 2. There is a quiz that they make you take in the game, and it has like 20 questions. And so I had the answers memorized. And so for whatever reason, one of those questions showed up on a test one day at school.
wow,
And I knew that answer thanks to Mega Man Legends 2.
that's hilarious.
Yeah, so video games do help
mhm.
Sometimes.
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 Not you guys playing Fortnite.
No,
sorry.
that rots your brain cells. You probably lost a
I,
few.
I apologize, but you're now retarded. If you haven't found it out, I'm just now letting you know. I'm sorry.
like we don't mean to bash Fortnite players, but what we're saying is that you're part of the largest
Oh my
community
gosh.
in the world.
Oh yeah, like it's a very popular game. Obviously, it's a
Right.
good game in a lot of respects. I just don't care for it. That's
I don't
okay.
care
But-
for
but-
it.
but-
I'm just
entire-
poking fun at you.
True, but it's also true that your entire community goes on the short bus.
Literally, they do. They come down from a bus.
It's
So.
my nephew who plays PUBG the same way. Yeah, you too.
It's so bad with Fortnite. They're having a collaboration with TikTok. Your dance move might end up being a dance move in Fortnite.
If I have to see one more person doing the floss,
Oh, is it not dead yet? Is it not dead yet? Really?
I had.
It's the modern age. Surely nothing can last for more than a
Hey,
year.
hey, we live in the South. It takes about a year longer for anything that's popular to die out eventually, once it
Ugh.
finally gets here.
That's still the most egregious thing ever was it having Palpatine's return come back through Fortnite. You're going to tell me that people who came to watch movies that date back from the 70s would be playing Fortnite to understand that Palpatine came back?
Yeah, did you know about that?
Yeah,
Oh, in Fortnite?
Palpatine's
Yeah, there's-
return is announced in Fortnite. The scroll up for episode 9
Yeah.
refers to an event in Fortnite.
Yeah, so they had
Okay, I must have missed that when I was looking at the freaking scroll up. I mean, I watched the movie,
So,
so
so the scroll up, you know how it says that Palpatine announces
A
to the
message to
world
the galaxy.
galaxy that he's alive.
right.
That
Well, that
message.
message was they had a special event on Fortnite where people could come in on for a certain game session where you sat down in front of their like an area where there's a big screen on the thing, and it was a scene where he was announcing the world that he was alive.
And he's planning his revenge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Fortnite.
Yeah, right. That's how offensive that is. And yes, I am offended. I do take offense.
JJ said it didn't really fit into the movie, so he said, "Sure, why not?"
It didn't fit
Okay.
into the movie.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Okay.
All right. All right. So
Yeah.
I'm just.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
This is why he sticks to the retro gaming.
That's why we stick to retro
Wow.
everything.
You say that Drunken Gamers kind of goes all over the place. Because what
That's-
it is at that point with our normal setup is what you don't know behind the scenes is every game that's picked on that list is not picked before we start that night. Instead, what's going on is we know who's going to play next. And as we're getting drunker and drunker, we're more belligerent in picking the games for them.
Oh, you're hate drafting.
Oh, we're hate drafting.
Giving them harder and harder
Or
games.
just horrible, horrible things we could find. That's why we ended up with, what was it, Citizen Kabuto or whatever on one of those seasons. Oh,
Oh, wow. Hey, well, it's entertaining for us to watch as the person's horribly, doing the trying to get through a level and can't.
hmm
yep.
I mean, me personally, I'd be the first person. See, I am worst at Metroidvanias, Castlevania / Metroid games. I love both of them, by the way, but I suck at them. Right? So my favorite thing to do is like, anybody want to go play Metroid 2?
Yeah, anytime I'm actually like,
I love it. Excuse me, the original Game Boy Metroid 2
Yeah.
is the bomb. It's my
Right.
favorite Metroid game ever. As a kid, I played it so much.
Mine too, and I'm so bad at it.
you can
Was
enjoy
it
something you're bad at.
AM2R or not another Metroid 2 remake? Yeah.
Yeah.
AM2R. When that came out, which I was surprised because there's obviously extra content because it takes longer. Because I was going through playing it and I'm like speed running through it like I would be playing Metroid 2. I'm like, wait a second, this is new. This is new. What's going on? 'Cause
Yeah,
it took
this
me like,
isn't
it took
the
me
same
It
game.
did take me twice as long, so I didn't do it in like an hour and a half. I did it in like 3 to 4 hours. But still.
Oh wow, much shorter than what would take him.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
and
no.
this was my first run.
Yeah.
Wow.
Metroid is a campaign for me. I just like going on the warpath. If I didn't love Samus so much, I wouldn't be doing this.
Oh, so did you actually play Metroid Other M or whatever it was called? The one where she actually talked or whatever?
No.
What
no.
are you talking about?
Yeah, we don't do that.
It doesn't exist,
What,
right?
what are you talking about? Other what?
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We also
I think
pretend that
Nintendo
like
tries to forget about that too.
yeah, I think everyone should.
Yeah.
Period. Like it never came up on this
I'm
podcast.
still lost.
Oh, wait, you actually don't know?
No,
She's
I was
screwing
like,
with you.
right.
He's screwing with you. It's like the Legend of Zelda animated show.
Yeah.
Excuse
Actually-
me, princess.
Oh. You know what? I actually had fun with that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I stayed up for every Friday because you had the Super Mario Brothers Super Show during the week, and then on
Yep.
Friday we would get the Zelda cartoon, and I'm like so excited as a kid.
That was also when they had the Sonic,
Yeah.
the first Sonic show.
The two different ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't talk about the weekly one. We wait for Sat-Am.
Yeah, the good one.
Sonic Sat-Am, where Robotnik actually was terrifying.
Fine.
Yeah, not a joke.
No, not at all.
Yeah, we don't talk about Sonic Boom either. That
Yeah.
was after.
That's a glitch, right?
in the system, in the matrix.
Yeah. The developers did intend for Knuckles to have an infinite jump with a pause. This is actually built in the game on purpose. I hope you all enjoy it.
I think this is actually a good stopping point for the topic.
Gotcha. Yeah.
We don't want any more glitches to happen. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Most of all, as I always say, thank you for letting us get to the root of our geek culture with you.